Hey guys, welcome back to Cultural Explorations. This is a new series called Knowledge Bites for English, in which we discuss various English topics. Today we will be discussing Sweetheart of the Song Tra Bong in the collection of stories called Things They Carried by Trim O'Brien. Uh, Now, for the summary, in Sweetheart of the Song Tra Bong, uh, the author is Tim O'Brien for Sweetheart of the Song Tra Bong. So, in the summary, Tim O'Brien recounts when Rat Kiley uh, told the story of Marianne, a sweet, innocent high school girl who joins her boyfriend Mark Fossie in Vietnam. Mark Fossie and Rat Kiley at that time were a member of the medical detachment. Uh, First, we can analyze the title. The Song Tra Bong is a river in Vietnam, and Sweetheart meaning what do you call the collection connection between Marianne and Mark Frossy. So, Sweetheart of the Song Tra Bong. Sweetheart is the connection between Marianne and Mark Frossy, her boyfriend, and Song Tra Bong is a river. Basically, the whole premise of the story is how war changes a person. Although Marianne physically returned 3 weeks later with the Greenies, in a sense she never returned. Not entirely. Not all of her. Women are just as capable to fight in war as men. Marianne took great pleasure in night patrols. She was good at it and she had the moves. So those are the themes. How war can change a person. That's the main theme of the story. As we continue, how this change is displayed through Marianne's character, her physical and her emotional attributes. Marianne's bright-eyed personality is quickly corrupted by both her physical and emotional reactions, how they're altered by the war and her surroundings. She eventually disappears. This is what the main idea is. This chapter chronicles the effect of Marianne's change on Mark Frossy, Rat Kiley, and others, while also serving to develop Tim O'Brien's definition of a true war story. Sweetheart of the Song Tra Bong's purpose within the book as a whole is to prevent O'Brien's primary argument. War is a power of corruption and confusion, and it is unexplained even by those who were immersed in its horror. It destroys any innocence. That's the main point. War destroys any innocence that you may have. It also serves to elaborate an example of what O'Brien defines as a true war story, retold differently several times, lacking in resolution and overall hard to believe. Uh, this chapter uses ambiguity or moral ambiguity. Basically, it displays both the good and the evil. In some cases, the hero and the villain of the story. In the story, it's Mary Ann. The purpose of moral ambiguity is for readers evoke emotions of the readers of sympathy, admiration, as well as frustration towards the same subject. This is promoted by the confusion and conflict of actions and emotions within the war. We can say that this entire story is just an extended anecdote. This entire chapter is an extended anecdote. Basically, the specific anecdote uses the transformation of Marianne's character and her appearance as an explanation for the loss of innocence experienced by all the soldiers, and their personality and characters of their original selves will not remain. So basically, the change of a person through war. This paragraph you should memorize. What is the purpose of this story? Now, these are some literary devices. In IB, you have to constantly keep seeing the literary devices. So these are some examples of the literary devices. This is the physical transformations I used as an imagery to the reader's head. But primarily, they are used to develop the character and further the anecdote of the transformation, physical and emotional. Examples. Now, these are all examples. This 17-year-old doll in her freshly faced was like a cheerleader visiting the opposing team's locker room. Another imagery, she has long white legs and blue eyes and a complexion like strawberry ice cream. These are also, this describes how she's holding an M16, how her face is filled with black charcoal, and how she's wearing fatigues. But the grotesque part, he said, was the jewelry. At the girl's throat was a necklace of human tongues. This one is an important point of her transformation, the human tongues. We will get back to that. She comes very new and shiny and girly, but then becomes dark and manly and obsessed with the war. Uh, this is an artistic description basically of her transformation from the very sweet and girly to now her holding the M16, and this is the artistic description of the human tongues. In this story, we can see that they are near Song Tra Bong, and there are a secretive unit called Green Berets or Greenies. They live at the edge of the compound. They disappear into the jungle for days or weeks on mysterious missions. Uh, Mark Fossie is 18 and Mary Ann is 17. We can observe her transformation by the way, like this. She's this one. Soon she's foregoing makeup, cutting her hair short, and learning to maintain and fire an M16. Mark also gently mentions that it's time to go home. Mark Frosty brings her from Australia to Vietnam 6 weeks. Yeah, Mark Fossie decides to have his girlfriend visit him. Although it seems impossible, 6 weeks later, 17-year-old Marianne Bell. Marianne Bell is the full name. Marianne helps with the casualties. Uh, she's quiet and steady and undeterred by blood. She also keeps foregoing makeup and she becomes more manly. She loses herself. She becomes distant from Mark. She loses herself in the mountains, just observing the land. That's what. She becomes restless. She gloomily gazes towards the mountains with a look of partly terror and partly rapture. One morning, she leaves with the greenies. Nearly 3 weeks later, she returns, a small, soft shadow among six other shadows. Uh, Mark forces open the door of the Greenies' hut to find a candlelit room full of tribal music, the smell of incense, and the stink of killed animal hides and herds. Draped about were bones and skulls scattered everywhere. The Greenies lounged in hammock while Mary Ann sings. Rat realizes that she's wearing a necklace full of human tongues. She tells Mark that he doesn't belong there, but she has found her place in the country. She craves to eat the country whole. Now Mark knows more than ever that she is becoming distant from her. One morning, she goes out with the greenies and she never returns. After an inquiry, Mark was demoted and sent home. Marianne is still part of the mountains, and that's how the story ends. In this story, Marianne doesn't follow the story rules about that there should be a happy ending. The story is ongoing all around him, and others continue to be transformed and the pressures of war and the land. So basically, that's summary of Sweetheart of the Song Tra Bong. How war changes a person. That's what it is about. So we can see this through Marianne's transformation from a sweet girl to this devilish kind of monster with necklace of human tongues and that she's gotten so used to the blood in such a little time. She's going off on missions for 3 weeks, and she's really just not what a girl is supposed to be. So this transformation tells the audience, the reader, how war can change a person, their perspective, and everything around them. Their entire world can crumble. Yeah, guys, that's a short description of Sweetheart of the Song Tra Bong.